you want to get going?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I already hit record. We are going. What's going on, buddy?
All good. I just got back from class, which was kind of boring, but got through it.
Nice. How do you pronounce your name?
So in Swedish, my name, the O has like the little dots over it, which would be be like an OE. So in Sweden, people would say Björn. People in the US kind of say Bjorn, which is totally fine. I think that's what most people say. And it actually means bear. So the animal Bjorn is what you would, if you Google it, my name, basically, you would see a bear. So it's appropriate to where I landed.
That's why you picked Cal, huh?
I kind of had to, yeah.
The bear. And then what about your last name? How do you pronounce that?
Seeliger. Yeah, it's always a tough one because people usually put an N before the G or, whatever. But
Seeliger, yeah. Actually, I wrote it out that way and then I had to cross it out and do it. So, I mean, I think you saw my list of questions. It's pretty deep right now.
I did. I thought it was kind of funny, yeah.
So what's the deal, man? I am like a mad Viking fan. I love it on television. I'm watching the Last Kingdom right now. Have you watched that?
I've not. I've only seen the show Vikings.
Dude,
remember that one? Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched all the Vikings, and now I'm on to the new Vikings. It's like 100 years and something like that in the future.
Yeah, remember that his son's name actually is Bjorn in the show.
Yeah,
Bjorn Ironside. So when I came here first, I remember Matt Biondi's son. He was here as a senior when I was my freshman year, and he's like, "Oh, Bjorn, are you related to the Viking from?" Because that's what everyone thought. That's the only reason they could pronounce my name. So it's kind of funny.
But it's such a Viking name, though, right? Is it not?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It is.
Yeah. So I did see that you were actually born in Germany, but how long did you spend there?
First 7 years of my life.
Oh, really?
So quite a while. And that's kind of interesting too, because I have two sisters, right? And me myself too, we all have Swedish names, and we had like very little affiliation with Sweden, but for some reason German people just love Scandinavia. So I guess that was like a thing back then where people would name their kids Scandinavian names. So just turned out to be Bjorn, and I happened to move there later. So
are your parents not Swedish?
No.
Oh,
they're German. Yeah.
Wow.
So I just grew up there. No, people don't really know that. Yeah.
Look at that. Hey, dang. What part of Germany did you grow up in?
Right outside of Hamburg. So I finished first grade, and then I moved because my dad got a job in Sweden at AstraZeneca, which is like, pharmaceuticals. So we did that whole move and, learned the language pretty quick. So it was awesome.
So do you speak German?
I do speak German. Yeah.
Wow. Damn. Look at this. How many languages then?
3. I took Spanish in high school. Biggest mistake I ever made, because it was too many at once. Because high school was like just a couple years after I actually went to Sweden, so it was like still finishing up my Swedish learning process, and then English gets thrown in there, and then Spanish too. So it was a lot at once. But
I was going to say your English is good. It sounds like you got an American twang, so that's pretty cool.
Thank you. I learned quickly in terms of languages. At least I played a lot of video games when I was younger, so that helped.
Okay. Where do you feel you're most comfortable? Which is the language where you're most comfortable?
People ask me that. People also ask me what language I think in, and that's really hard to answer. It's like if you know multiple languages, it's kind of hard kind of winding back and thinking about what you're thinking in. So I'd say that, for that part, I usually just think in the language I'm talking, and most comfortable, I'd say Swedish. Really? Second would be English, and German would be third.
So when you're behind the blocks at NCAAs and you've got that self-talk going on, it's self-talk in English?
It's not self-talk. I just kind of watch the crowd, especially at NCs, kind of
really
calm down. Yeah.
You got nothing going on? There's no words in your head?
Nothing going on. Not really.
Wow.
Yeah. Keep it calm.
That's different to me. I always tried to have a word that I could focus on. If I was focused on the crowd, I felt like I was going external. I wanted to kind of stay internal. So
yeah,
I just had a word or something.
Actually, now that I think about it, it's probably like I remember a couple of years ago, I false started, and this is like back when it was kind of important for our nationals in Sweden, and we scoring points. And I false started, so I got DQ'd, and ever since then, at like very important meets, I used to be like very simple instructions. It's like, you go when the beep sounds, right? So that's probably usually what I like, make it very simple. Just like, get on the block, but you move after the beep. Very simple stuff.
Yeah. Gotcha. Now, you're a big dude too, man. Where does that come from?
Parents, probably.
Which one? Mom or dad?
My dad was 6'6". My mom's like maybe like 5'8", 5'9". So nothing like not like me. I'm 6'8.5", but my uncle's very tall too. But
Really?
yeah, I guess just I don't know if the tall people stay in swimming or if the tall people, if the swimming makes you tall when you're younger. Because I've always swum, right? I swum since I was like 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
long time.
Did you have any idols growing up? Like any Swedish idols, or who were the people that you looked at early?
Um,
Like was Lars Frolander kind of an
yeah,
example for you?
yeah, Lars is there. This it's kind of sad that a lot of those stories never really get told that much to us young kids. It's
He's a
more
little
like
earlier
you
than you,
kind of have to
hey?
you have to figure them out on your own. But I remember Banked, who went to Cal too, Backstroker, won the games 80 something in Moscow,
Okay.
100 backstroke, and he went here and that's a whole nother story. But that's always been pretty cool to me. He kind of got up and got that when he was 18, and I would know Lars won 2000 100 fly,
Yep.
and that was pretty crazy too. Because Lars is an interesting guy. He's like he does the whole vegetarian vegan thing, and so he was always around at clubs when I was younger, kind of talking about nutrition and recovery and how that really helped him and the States to get better and stuff. So yeah,
Really?
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I swam kind of against him. He swam more fly. I did a little free at the time, but he was a stud, man. That guy was so good.
Yeah.
He swam at SMU around the same
Yep.
time I swam in college, and then I raced a guy, sprint freestyler. Help me out here, Bjorn. Swedish sprint freestyler.
You probably raced maybe Jonas Tilley.
No, I'm not thinking him. I'm thinking the guy that did the straight arm really well.
Oh, Stefan Nystrand.
Stefan Nystrand. There you go.
Yeah,
Thank
that guy's a tank.
you.
He knows how to swim. That's actually insane. He's actually part-time coaching at my club right now in Sweden.
Is he really? See, I've tried to
Yeah.
get him on the podcast, and he's like, "Oh, people don't want to hear from me." I'm like, "Stefan, you're a freak. You are incredible."
Yeah, and he's very smart. He helped me when I got home from Europeans last year, and I didn't qualify. I was like very confident that I was going to make the team at some point there, because in Sweden you don't have trials; you just have to make the cut, right, for the Olympics. And didn't make it, and I was like kind of bummed about it. And I went home and kind of like we huddled over that swim, and he really nerded down into that and gave me some good tips that I moved forward with at Mare Nostrum and whatever, and I made it. So that's cool guy.
Oh, yeah, he was good. And I didn't forget his name because he's not memorable. I forgot his name because I'm an idiot. But he's just he was so good, man. He was hard to beat. But he kind of burst onto the scene with this straight arm that everyone was like, "Whoa, he's really mastered it." Like people were trying it and attempting it. He took it to another level, and it was like, "Dang,
he's
this guy's got it figured
fully
out."
straight arm.
Yeah. He had, and he had the underwaters too. He kind of had, but he had a sick straight arm. I mean, he was good. But that's cool that he's had some influence on you too. And then Therese Alshammar, she's obviously the one that everybody knows, who was just, she was so good, that girl, so dominant,
Yep, she's still around too. She swam because I was in Stockholm in an elite center before I came out to Cal, and this is the year before the Olympics. Everything shuts down, right? But Sweden doesn't really care, so we keep swimming. And we keep doing our own little thing, and our group is like 6-7 people. It was Sarah, it was me, it was Therese, it was like two or three more people. And Michelle was there too, and it was good. I mean, she has kids now, and they're on pool like every day, and they kind of have their iPad hour when we swim. So they just watch TV shows in the corner. It's really funny and cute, and then we kind of just do our set. And she gets after it every day, and she loves it. She loves that environment.
Yeah. She's so good. I didn't know she was still going, but I've been trying to get her on the podcast too. I think I'm going to track her down. I did make contact with her at least, and she said she'll do it in a month or two. So that'll be cool. She's incredible. And then her husband was coaching, right?
Yep, he's coached me. He coached me last year, and then before that too.
Oh, he did.
Okay. Well, not last year. Never mind. It would be before I came out. So yeah, in like spring 2020.
So how did you end up at Cal? Why'd you pick Cal? I'm going to switch into full screen for you too every now and then.
That's fine. I'd say I always knew that I wanted to, at least check out the US and see what I thought of it. And I talked to like 3 or 4 schools before I went on a trip, and I had a very different idea of where I was going to go before I took my trips. So I came to the States. I visited, I think I visited USC, I visited Cal, NC State, and then maybe one more. I don't think I did actually. So it was those 3, and I just fell in love with it. Like, this is 2019 fall, September, and I was by far the last of my class to commit because we finished school later and blah 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 in Sweden. So I was like committing in September to go out next year in August, which would be very late for US kids at least. So the class was already set almost, and I was kind of out visiting, and I was like, Cal, it's pretty awesome, but I didn't know that much. But I loved it. I came here, campus is amazing. It's very concentrated, it's a very small campus, so you can walk everywhere. And the team was just insane, right? It's like back then, this is like 2019, so everyone was still here from the pro group, and you just have these like huge swimmers that are so good and just like sending it at Speaker and Legends, because we have 2 pools now. And that was cool to see. And Dave, when you meet, it's very, very different meeting Dave in person than on Zoom. It's like he's very, very intentional with what he says and aware. So that was really cool. I really, really like felt the pursuit of excellence that we drive here in terms of like swimming and school, right? So that was really important for me. That's what I wanted. So I was really, really hyped after that visit, and I was like, I kind of have to go here.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what were you interested in studying? What did you end up picking?
I'm like econ business, so something in between there. I actually really like that field. STEM majors are really, really hard at Berkeley. I guess they're hard everywhere, but
yeah,
I kind of had to pick and choose there.
Great school.
But I tried a little bit of everything, but yeah.
So it sounds like educationally, you kind of knew a direction you wanted to go, even after college. Is there a field that you want to go into?
I don't know. I don't think finance is that interesting, to be honest. I do think it's very important to like keep doing stuff outside of the pool. So like you work hard in class and you move forward and don't just like do it on the side. So I got an internship this summer, which is really cool. I'm happy about that. And that is in consulting. So I guess that's the first direction I'm kind of trying out. But other than that, I don't really know. I'm open for ideas. What do you think?
Finance is interesting if you want to make a lot of money. I know there's a lot of rich people in finance. That's
yeah.
What do you mean internship this summer? Aren't you kind of focused on the World Championships?
No, I am. We'll see about that, because first it was like, where they canceled it, and then we kind of had to think about what are we doing, and everyone was really actually believing that we're not going to have a meet this summer. So I'll probably end up picking one of the two, because we have Europeans, right? And the problem is that they're very, very far out, and kind of a big theme this year for me has been that I really want to do this for a long time, right? And a lot of swimmers kind of just go to everything, right? And I don't think it's like you have to go to this World Champs and you have to go to Europeans, you have to do this, and just kind of keep sending the entire summer, because I think that performance is important, and I'm doing well, but it's also the timing of it. I want to be really, really good in 2 years, and what I do this summer doesn't necessarily matter in terms of that time frame, right? So the whole idea, what we do really well at Cal here, is we think in those 4-year terms, where we came back last fall, and is like, I mean, we were kind of relaxed, we got after it slowly but surely, but we came off that cycle. A lot of people did really well. Some people wanted to do better, but it's just like you really like ramp it up over the 4 years and not just like straight back into it. People get tired, it's a hard sport.
Yeah. So then which one would you sacrifice? Would you sacrifice the Worlds or the Europeans, you think?
I don't know yet. I don't know the standings at all, because I kind of kept out of the media fully. I didn't really read anything, so I don't know what happened with the whole, like, because I know Sweden was like protesting in case Russia and Belarus show up, I think. So I don't know what happened there at all. I have to do a little bit of due diligence this week, but I don't know. I'll see. I think for like performance, I could probably do better at Europeans. Just considering that there's less competition in terms of countries, but I think Worlds would be a better experience. Might go to both. I don't know. I'll keep you updated.
We individualize training in the pool, so why not individualize your nutrition? Erica Biney of Biney Wellness Building will help you and your swimmers get exactly what each athlete needs through genetic testing and personalized nutrition plans. So stop guessing what you should and shouldn't be putting into your body. Athletes within a few weeks have noticed they're recovering faster because they're fueling their body with what they need and staying away from what their body hates. Erica understands swimming. She gets it. She's worked with over 20 Olympians, including the fastest man in the world, Caeleb Dressel. Group discounts are available, so go to Biney Wellness Building and get in touch with Erica today. That's Biney, BEI wellnessbuilding.net. I mean, it seems like you've made a leap forward now, though. Like, where are you? Short course a long course in your events from the last summer. What are your best times?
So last summer I went 21.7 and I went 48.9.
Right. Now it seems like we've made another leap forward again. So to me, and I told Dave during this, I may have even told you this. I think you're a 21 low swimmer now. Like I really do. Long course, not just converted wise. I mean, performance wise, I think you're legitimately there. I think you're in that realm, and now you've got to go out and execute that. Now in the 100, I think you're a 47 swimmer. There's a bunch of guys swimming 47. You're absolutely in that same category as those guys. So I think you've made massive leaps forward and putting yourself in a position to be very competitive on the world stage. So I understand the maybe missing worlds this year and focusing 2 years on Paris and that sort of thing, but or just going to Europeans. But I do think that you're a much better contender this year than you were last year.
Yes, I agree. So what happened from last year is I think that I've gotten a lot stronger, and that's like the biggest thing for me is that I talked to Caeleb about this at the meet because he was there, and I'm very curious about what people think about my swimming. So I asked him, I was like, hey man, how do I go 17 next year, right? And he was like, he knows swimming, right? And that's like the one, I think it's kind of interesting that the really good swimmers tend to know a lot about their sport, right? It makes sense. Like if you talk to Nathan or Murph, they would talk for hours. And that's something I've been really trying to get into, like actually learn about my swimming. And he said, you're 7 strokes out, 9 strokes back. So say my 50, right? I was 18.2, 7 strokes out, 9 strokes back, which he said is 1 more than he did when he was 17.6. So what he really liked there, he said, was that I pull a lot of water, which is really important, right? But I'm not very strong for my height. So it's proportional strength to body size. He's like 6, 2 or 3, but he's super strong. He's just like freak of nature, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that for me, even though I am older, it's going to take longer just because I am 6'8". Like I have to fill out my frame, which just, it's slowly but surely. But that's like the biggest thing he said. Like stroke wise, it's very good. I catch water. That's fine. I have underwaters. I kind of can get up and move from a block. But just like core strength, kind of pulling myself more than I do comes with time and patience in terms of like weight room and even like he talked about this. He said, because I asked him, I remember Chalmers and him kind of like alike where they do like, they swim the 50 and the 100, but they do IM sets, like long IM sets. And I thought that was super interesting. And I asked him about that too. And he said that it's because he has a very high tolerance, like a very high lactate tolerance. That part I didn't specifically ask him, but I know that. And I think it's kind of interesting because if you have such a high lactate peak, you kind of have to swim a lot to get up there and get stronger. So I think for me, I don't necessarily need to just do lifting every day. I just actually need to do like fly group. I like the fly especially is really good for me because that's what I was doing all year. Like I wasn't in backstroke group once. But that's a whole different story. You were asking me something else. I'm just sidetracking here. I'm sorry.
No, it's actually, I'm glad you sidetracked because it's interesting. You talked about strength and you got stronger. So I was going to ask you what you did to get stronger. Fly group is one of those things. What do you mean by fly group exactly?
So at Cal, we usually have, mostly I'm in free group, right? But Tuesdays and Thursdays, we kind of get after it. And we do, I'd probably be 50-50 and like mid free. So I'd be doing like with the 200 guys, I'd be with Robin, be with Tej and work that. So I wouldn't be in sprint group. And then the other day of the week would be your stroke. And I was doing fly group for most of the year because I really wanted to find a third event. That was like the biggest thing for me this year, kind of move away from just overthinking the 50 and the 100 and kind of like actually doing some work in other strokes. And I thought fly was going to be the one until like literally 4 weeks ago. But I just realized like I can't do it. Like I can't do it fast enough. I was probably going to be maybe like 45 something, but you saw the meet. It took 44.7 just to make it back in A or something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting though that you're doing all this training and it actually converted to fast
oh yeah,
for you.
So good. That's why Caeleb is so good too, right? Especially the fly for tall people, like it makes you so strong through that motion, and it never gives you any like rest, right? The freestylers, we just kind of like smoothly go through the water, but it's very hard to do easy fly. Like Tej can do it, but like even a short course, like our sets would be like
it's not even good to do easy fly.
No, yeah, I don't even know. I just kind of do it, right? I get thrown into it,
Mm.
but I come home and I'm like spent, right? I get sore, and I don't really get that sore from freestyle training
Mm.
at all ever. Like I can go like 50s, 100 pace, and I wouldn't really like, I'd be tired, but I wouldn't be sore after it. But the fly I do, and it's really good for me. So that really got my strength up, and I think that's what I'm gonna keep doing. Just really just like kind of move towards backstroke and free when I kind of move into the spring, but like fall is just kind of grinding out IM sets and longer free and fly.
So you were actually swimming breaststroke as well? You can do that?
No, okay. So I wasn't really an IM group, but just doing that stuff would be really good for me.
Okay, so
But
how do you swim your fly sets? Are you doing 25s, 50s, 75s, up to hundreds, beyond hundreds? How far do you go?
no, it'd be like 50s.
Right.
I think that's something I learned too. Like when I was home with Therese's husband, who was my coach, we used to do a bunch of long course, and most of it was slow, like 300s, 200s all the time, like 800s cruise. Every Tuesday we used to do like 3200 cruise. So a bunch of slow swimming long course. But here, I don't think that short course or a long course I have done anything longer than a 300 without stopping. Like never, not even once. So every time we kind of like work, it's 25s, 50s. That's where I would be. Some 75s fly, and usually progressing down towards 100 pace. A lot of turns, a lot of resistance, buckets here and there, but yeah. So nothing.
So give me an example of a fly set then that you would do on a Tuesday or Thursday.
So the Tuesday one is long course, I think. Yeah, one of them is long course, and it would be probably first we would do bunch of drilling because this would be in seasons. We do a bunch of drilling 50s, maybe like a single arm, and this is before March came in, so it'd be with Dave, and so yeah, we do a couple 50s single arm. We would get fins on a lot, especially long course, because if those were long course, get fins on, and then we kind of work through through turns a lot. So kind of descend. Last 10 is fast through a turn, kick out to 15, and then two strokes. A lot of that, a lot of like 2 strokes, 3 strokes fast.
Right.
A lot of no breaths to 25s, and kind of just swim through those 50s, easy the rest of the way. When I say a lot, it's like 3 or 4 in this, and then 3 and 4 in that. So it's not like insane. And then we'd probably finish with like 100 pace stuff. So descend. So it'd be like maybe 450s, 2 rounds where we go 1 on, 1 off. Where the off one is easy, the on one is probably like back end +2 or back end +1, without fins, kind of just swim. And those be good for me because I don't have a back end. Like there's no back end to go off of. I've never done a long course. So I'd be like, I wouldn't be fast. Honestly, I don't even need to be faster. It's like I'd be maybe like 29. And I try really hard, right? But it's just the idea of that gets me fatigued and gets me stronger. So the time doesn't really matter. But that's it, right? So it's like maybe 4 or 5, probably like 5,000 long course in the morning, where like maybe like 1,200, not even 1,200, maybe like right around under 1,000 of that is fly. And that would be like a fly day, right?
Right. Now, when you're doing your kind of resistance fly on the buckets or resistance sets on the buckets, you were primarily doing fly or free at that point in time? You weren't touching backstroke?
No backstroke. We didn't touch backstroke once. So only free. The buckets were mostly only free.
Really? Wow. So when did the backstroke click then? Like I mean, you've always had some backstroke in you, but you're swimming the fly, you're training the fly, you're training the free. When did you figure out the backstroke was clicking?
I asked Dave to do, when this is when March is out, we're like 2 weeks out from PAX. And I was like, Dave, I'm not confident enough, because all the conferences were firing, right? They were sending. I was like, damn, I'm not confident that I will make it up in the 100 fly. I literally said that because I think I can be out in 20 point. Like that's not the issue. I have the speed, but if you're 6'8" and you're trying to do a fast wall, like I can't do a wall like Nils Christian can do a wall.
Right.
Like there's just no way, right? Because he's, the flyers are usually shorter and way stronger than me. So I was like, I can't do it. We have to figure something else out. Because I just don't have the confidence in my ability. Because I usually am very good at like figuring out where I am, right? So I was like, I can be 45 low maybe, but I can't be 44.5. There's no way. He's like, agreed. So I was like, okay, let's figure it out. 2 free, not there yet, just not. Because that middle day, right? Sorry, I didn't say that. The middle day it's 2 free, 1 back, or one fly.
Right.
One run breast is there, but that wouldn't matter for me.
Yeah.
So it was one of those three, and I was like 2 free would be the next option because I have been in free group.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just not my stroke, especially because I pull very straight arm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pull like a Lars, like a Nil. What was his name? I'm sorry, Stefan Nystrand.
Stefan Nystrand, yeah.
I don't pull as straight as him, but I would be like very, very straight still. So it just didn't hold up in a 200. You know, if you look at Kieran Smith, he will like enter and he will like bend so beautifully. Like it'll be literally a straight bend from his elbow. His elbow won't move below the water surface for like a good half stroke. And I just can't do it. I just pull straight. And that just was it, right? I was like, I can go out in 44 low or 43 high very comfortably, but it's way too hard. And I don't have time to like learn how to do this elbow thing. So that was out the window. So I was like left with backstroke, which I knew I could do, but backstroke is the kind of thing that it's very, like you think it's similar to freestyle, but it's not. It's just the reverse muscle groups, like literally, because you're on your back. So kicking is like the opposite of my freestyle kicking. So I was just like, let's try it, see what goes. I did a practice 75, but because I had done the fly practices, I was for some reason very good on underwaters, and I kind of just came up and kind of like the idea of my backstroke was like kick, come up and maintain that speed, turn, right? Because my turns are good, like they're very, very like for my height, I feel like they're fast. The swing part was like the least favorite part, right? So we were just like, can we make this 100 back in 2 weeks a underwater race with turns? That was the idea with March. And we did. We practiced it. Murph taught me how to like redo my start, because last time I did backstroke was 2018, and I literally haven't touched it since. Like I haven't done anything. And why I changed from backstroke back then was because the Olympic qualifying times were out, and I was like, there's just no way I'm going 53.600 back. Right. But I might go 22.1, 22.0, 153, right? So I totally abandoned backstroke. And then me and March were basically just like figuring out my start. And Murph helped me on that. And then it was just kind of like, go, like, just let it rip, because I have that speed. And, you know, people were like hyping it up. They're like, oh, he's going to go 43. I was like, there's no way I'm going 43 because I don't know how to swim. Right. So I kind of just like do it. I go out fast and I kind of like just get tired at the end. But it was enough. That's all I wanted there was kind of get up. That was the idea. Right.
Interesting. A lot of interesting stuff there, man. I appreciate you being open with that and honest. I like to go through some technical aspects, and usually I'll go through a stroke with somebody, but it sounds like I want to go through, first of all, what were the two guys, Marsh and Murphy, telling you about your backstroke style? What were some technical things that you were working on there? And then you did mention that you were really good on your turns too. I want you to take me through a backstroke turn and what are the things you do well there technically. So let's start with the backstroke style. What were they working on?
So good question. For the start, my biggest problem was that I have very long legs. I have long femurs. I have long lower part of your leg, I guess that's what we call it. Yeah. And when I was starting, I was way too close to the wall. I would like hinge my legs like this almost, and then I would like kind of extend, like it was like this, and I would extend all the way, and it would just look terrible. So what Murph told me is that when I'm in my position but I'm not pulled up, just move your butt back. So I moved my butt back a lot, and maybe you can edit in a picture later from my starts now, but it's almost like a start that the Russians did like 20 years ago. You know, it's like super, super high, and they kind of like put their face up to the block, ass out to the back, and just kind of send it, right?
Is your butt out of the water or in the water?
Oh yeah, it's very out of the water.
Okay.
And my legs are like, they're almost like, they're not straight, but they're almost straight. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah.
So I just moved my butt back a lot, and that got the effect to where like I could release my upper body first, extend, and then push. And I got really far with that, like way further, because if I was kind of cramped up like I did before, I like had to extend, and my feet would drop, and now I kind of just can kind of go.
Right.
That was a big Murph thing. He kind of just looked at my start and he said, just move your butt back, and we kind of did that, and it worked out really well.
Damn. How long did that take you to figure out?
Not that long. Because it's just a structural position change, right? It's like I didn't have to do anything. I just had to change my start position and then kind of push. Like the push was the same idea. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty cool because Murph was like, "It's pretty good, Bjorn." I was like,
"Yeah, nice to have him looking at it. That's for sure."
Yeah, no, that's the cool thing about this, though, right? I can just literally call. Like Nathan was in this is a sidetrack story, but Nathan was in a couple days before we left and kind of looked at my freestyle and gave me some like just pointers, right?
Yeah.
And same with Murph. He he loves to see us go fast. So
Sure.
that was the start for the turn. Same thing there. He said that I kind of cross, and the thing I do in backstroke, which I was really happy with, I breathe at a certain point in my stroke. So, in freestyle, you breathe twos, right? And in backstroke, people kind of get confused, I feel like, and they kind of breathe whenever. And that's not good because you want to have a rhythm in it. So what I do is I breathe every time my right arm is right above my face. So it'd be like,
dang, hang on. So you have a breathing pattern in backstroke. You're the first person I've ever heard say they have a breathing pattern in backstroke.
Oh yeah, because it allows you to not gallop, which you do in freestyle, but it allows you to like, wow. Does that make sense? So I figured that out, and I was like kind of happy with it. But the turn was like I kind of breathed while I was doing my turn around, and Murph just wanted me to move my head faster, like around to the freestyle stroke. So we worked on that, kind of getting, because my turn was slow, right? It's like kind of sluggish because I was breathing through that last stroke. He just made sure that I kind of tucked that away and went around. And then because it's like I had 2 weeks to figure this out, and I really like the idea of like, looking at people that are better than you and learning from it. So I looked up backstroke, and I saw videos from Clement going short course world record 100 back, right? 48.5 last year. And what Clement does really, really well is he keeps his hips super high in the wall. Like his butt will be out of the water when he turns. So if you look at him, it's like he turns around and he keeps his hip so high that when he kind of flips his leg over, it's like keeps it still up there, right? And then pushes down. And I was like, that looks so good. So I kind of practiced that a little bit in terms of like getting my upper body down and kind of like slingshotting my legs over. And
I'm gonna have to look at that because I don't exactly know what you mean there. I mean, I kind of picture it, but I'm like, I need to see that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
That's interesting. You're keeping your butt high? Are you keeping your legs high as well as they come over, or lower? Your feet lower?
Well, it looks like I'm very low in the water, but that's because when I turn around for my freestyle stroke, I push my upper body down.
Right.
Like I don't flip my arms around and lay on the surface and kick. I kind of like. I flip around and then I push my body like
you submerge
towards
straight down.
I submerge, and then what that does is it allows me to like get my it'll be like this down, and then like kind of slingshot my hips over and then push downwards, right? Wow. So I'm already in that angle. So it's, I don't know, it's like weird to explain, but it made a lot of sense when I tried it because it was like
why do you want to come off at the angle? You're trying to get some depth there, get underneath the wash that's coming at you, and then kind of work your way out of it.
Yeah, because for my height, that was more advantageous. Okay. Instead of like, if I was going to be flat, like make myself small, turn, then flat again, it just didn't work.
Gotcha.
So I kind of just like, I don't know. It's a weird thing to explain, but it made a lot of sense when I was practicing it because it really felt like I was coming off the wall and pushing down under a wave and just kind of slingshotting off of that wall. And I come off of wall as well, so that was good.
It's just amazing to me that you figured this out within the span of just a couple of weeks. Like, oh, I need to make this adjustment quickly. Bang, make the adjustment. Okay, works. Perfect. Dang. Like you haven't trained it all year. It's just like a period of 2 weeks, just kind of getting it down.
Yeah, well, I knew how to backstroke, so that wasn't the issue. It was more like, very simple, like, okay, every time I would come to practice after that day, when we kind of figured out that I was going to do backstroke, just like, swim, head around, then turn, hips high. It's like 2 instructions, right? But they were the ones that I needed. So that was.
Were they getting this on video for you? Were you having to sit, or could you just make the adjustment based?
Oh yeah, and that is where March came in because he has like hours and hours of footage of everyone, right? So what he did is he came in, didn't say that much. He's kind of like, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be a consultant, and he would just like film everything, right? And he'd like call me at night and text me all these videos and be like this, and that, and it was really, really good. It was like clear information, and he knows how to kind of move through a taper, especially with the sprint group. And that was just awesome. I'd be like, I like that turn. And then we just figured stuff out. We kept the fly going too, because this is before PAX, right? So we kept both going. We were like, I don't really know what I want to do, so let's just try it. And so we all agreed there. That was like, okay, I'm gonna do the backstroke.
So when did you make this final decision? A couple of weeks out, you're working on it, you're figuring it out, but when's the final decision made?
Like 4 days out of NCs.
Out of NC. So, but you swam the backstroke at PAX.
Yep. And only because I had a B-cut in the 100 fly.
Okay, right. So you feel good about your PAC results in the backstroke?
Yes.
What do you end up swimming there? What were they?
I was 44.7. I was 44.8 in the morning and 44.7 at night, but it felt like I had just the way tall people kind of swim. It's almost like, like a liqueur swimming, Camel liqueur.
Yeah,
It's like I felt at home there, The fly, which I did a bunch in practice, like a bunch of races with suits on, it felt forced, like a very forced, because I swim well, but there's no way that I'm like keeping up with the same kind of kick rhythm that a Caeleb would be able to keep up with.
Right.
So I just
are you shaved at PAX?
No.
Right. Okay. So you swim 44 a couple of times unshaved. So you're feeling pretty good about it then.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, especially because I came out fast. It's like in the freestyle, I take it out fast too. But I was out 20.9 in the final, which is what Murph was out in. But I come home a second slower. But it didn't matter, right? I was like, what I have to go at, like, I just wanted to make it back in A at NCs. And I was like, if I can be 44, like mid, that's fine. That's right where I need to be.
Right. How much rest did you get for PAX?
Our full taper is like probably 6 weeks. So at that point, we were probably like 1.5 weeks in.
Oh, wow. That's it.
Yeah. Not more.
How do you feel unshaved 1.5 weeks in? Are you feeling good or are you feeling heavy in warm-ups?
I feel good. I feel really good.
Really?
And much of that comes from that I don't have a lot of muscle mass. Like I swim fast throughout the season, like very consistently. And yeah, I felt worse at NCs because you're way more rested. So each race takes more out of you.
Right.
At PAX, you're more of a training machine. You can just kind of just fire them off, even though they're a second slower, but it feels way more consistent.
That's a good point. I don't think too many people talk about that, actually. That's interesting that the more rest you get, the harder it is to back up sometimes.
Yeah, especially the backstroke, right? The freestyles were kind of easy. That was fine because I was more used to it also. But just doing 100 back tapered, like I feel for the 200 backstrokers. Like I talked to Bryce after that 2 back final. I was like, how was that, man? He's like, my last one. Kind of like that, at least in yards. But it was, that's hard, dude. 100 back is hard.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. So do you come up at all after PAX or is it just a continuation of coming down?
We come up for like 4 days, maybe.
Okay. So you get a couple of days rest and then you start to come up a bit and then you start to come down again.
No rest, really. We kind of were in the water the Sunday we got back.
Oh, really?
So yeah, same day, kind of just like swimming out. The travel always sucks. So we swim out the travel. We get up for like 4 days, just do like a little bit of yardage, but easy and a little bit of pace. And then the sprinters, just like that was really hard for me. I remember last year the taper was like long, right? And Hawke was here last year. He kind of just like comes in, does a couple of 25s and leaves. And I was always like tweaking about, I have to do more, my endurance, blah, blah, blah. And this year I really like trusted Dave with that. And I was like, Dave, like I do what you say in March too, right? And I came in for the last 4 weeks, I came in and like touched the water. I was like, maybe 1,000, like 1,000, 1,500 total, right?
Are they kind of handing you a piece of paper or are they writing it on the board? How are you getting that information of like, this is your limit today?
Board. Marsh will kind of make it up. Marsh was the key contributor to the sprint taper, at least.
Really? Wow. So
yeah, he comes in.
Marsh gets control of the sprint taper.
Oh, yep. All of it. So we come in, he gets the board, doesn't really plan much. He just looks at how we look and how we feel. And then there's, of course, some structure during the week. It's like this day we get up. And something we learned this season was that we would have, at NCs, we would need to show up day one, right? That was really important. Because during PAX, you saw how we were kind of like, we weren't sluggish in the beginning, but we kind of got going towards the end. And we got the job done there, but we knew that at NCs, we have to be going from day one. So we made sure that during that time between PAX and NCs, we got up a lot. Like we swam fast, like every other day suited.
Wow.
So to really just, get ready for that day one. So you're actually firing and not just like kind of sleepy,
I've heard that about Dave, the every other day thing. So is it kind of like a Monday on, Tuesday off kind of situation, Wednesday on, Thursday off type of situation?
Yep, exactly like that.
Right. Okay. And that starts before PAX or after PAX?
Somewhat before. Before it's probably only Saturdays and like Wednesdays, and after is like every other day.
Every other day. So you know that you're going to get kind of like a 48-hour rest between kind of high intensity work.
Yeah, and look at like, if you look at ISL swimmers, same thing, right? The further they get into that season, they kind of move faster and faster because they just race and it's routine and get more fit throughout it. And that was the idea. It was basically like if it's like roughly said is like a 2-week meet between Pac-12s and NCs, you know? It's like you focus on school, you go to school, but the swimming is like OIO warm up on your own, right? You do your race like 75 backs, 50 backs. I did 75 frees, rest 2 minutes, 250s back end free, right? Like just broken races, a bunch of those. And you kind of do a back day, do a free day, and do that every other day. And the day between, the rest day is just like calm swimming and, you know, underwater, a lot of hypoxic stuff, which I loved.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like basically a 2-week long just meet almost, where we kind of like, we put the music on, we get suited, but you get faster and faster. Like we were so fast by the end of that. And then we kind of just like transferred all that energy to first day of NCs, right? So we came out and we are just like, here we are, you know?
That's interesting. A couple of questions came out of that. So one of them is about school. I haven't asked this before, but this is interesting. You know, I know some guys in taper would make adjustments around school. Like they would go from using the stairs to using the elevators, you know, in the last couple of weeks. They would just get very fanatical about their taper. Is there anything, you know, interesting that you would do around school? You know, some people ride their skateboards and then all of a sudden they're getting the bus, you know, kind of, whatever it is. Is there anything for you?
No, most athletes here have scooters, like the electric ones. I don't, because I actually like walking a lot. And it's just like people overthink that too. I mean, you can walk up a flight of stairs, you'll be fine, right? You can't do it 10 times a day for 10 days out, right? But you'll be just fine. I mean, the idea is you get more sleep, you eat the right things, and you hydrate, and you drink a lot of water. Like Marsh was honest about that, especially because it's hot out here. I was going through like gallons of water with salt in them just to recover. And that did it. You know, it's not so much like can't walk up stairs and whatever not, but the idea is there, right? Dave was really adamant about us, like, you know, Saturdays are like you lay in bed and watch Netflix, like actually.
Really, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the sleep, I mean, I know you can oversleep too. So like, where's the balance between, you know, you're probably on the run at Cal, you know, in season, you're probably getting maybe 6 hours if you're lucky, but then in taper time, you've got more freedom to kind of get more of that. Where's the balance between getting enough and getting too much?
I couldn't tell you because I never get enough. I'm very light sleeper. Oh, really? So I will not get much more than 8 ever. So you'd have to ask someone else, but I don't know. I usually stay very constant throughout the year. I usually sleep 8 hours, and I think it's just like, the idea is you basically don't set an alarm for the last week before we left. So we had a lot of paper workouts the last week. It's kind of like get in whenever you want, right? Don't set an alarm. If you wake up at 7, good. If you don't, you know, good, just sleep in. And Dave was a little bit adamant about us getting up in time for like the time change, because there's a 3-hour time difference to Atlanta. So, you know, we're not sleeping till 11 every day, of course. And when we did our races, it was like in the morning. But there, you know, it's very dependent on who you are, I think.
That's interesting. I mean, we're 42 minutes in. We haven't really even talked about NCAA yet, so we probably should get onto that.
Yeah.
The time difference is interesting. You know, it was a 10 o'clock start out there, so it's kind of like a 7 a.m. kind of kickoff for you guys. You know, that's pretty early. Is there anything at all you did to prepare for that?
So the race days themselves, when there weren't paper workouts, we had to get up at a certain time and be there, right? So we would be racing maybe at 9, which means you get up at 6:45. You get there by 7:30, get in the water, get out of the water by 8:30. So that was most of it. But we knew that NC's, like the actual racing, is like an hour, and it's usually like between 11 and 12. That's right there where you are. So if we race in Berkeley at like 8 or 9, that's totally fine. But we knew, of course, NCAA is a morning meet where you have to show up. So that was like the main idea. But we didn't overthink that either. I mean, 3 hours, like we went out 4 days before. It was totally fine.
I'd like to introduce our newest sponsor, Swim Angelfish. Swim Angelfish is an online certification program that strengthens your teaching curriculum to serve swimmers of all abilities. Swim Angelfish will prepare you and your instructors with the skills to teach swimmers with autism, physical disabilities, anxiety, sensory and motor conditions, and more. Learn to teach skills faster and with more comfort with Swim Angelfish. Apply for an Only Alpha Pool Product Scholarship and receive up to 50% off your certification. Go to swimangelfish.com today to apply. Is there an emphasis for Cal on performing in the morning? How do you guys address that situation of making sure that you guys are ready to swim in the morning? To the championship's won in the morning. You don't score any points unless you swim fast in the morning. So how does Dave address that for you guys?
It's basically we were very, very good at focusing our energy for that 1 hour morning session because it is just 1 hour, right? So it's not like, I come back at 12 maybe after a morning session and I have like until 6 until I like go back to the pool even. And those 6 hours are like not swimming. It's like, I read and I like watch movies or whatever. It's not NCAAs. It's not up and downs, even though that's hard. It's like, that's what you do. So he's really, really adamant about us showing up that morning. And he's like, guys, I need you from 11 to 12 and then you can do whatever you want, kind of, That's a good mentality. And I think they also talked about this, but momentum is everything, right? So in the morning, the first swimmer that swims is almost the most important swimmer. Does that make sense? Even though maybe that person doesn't score even, if that person can show up, like for Cal, and get it done, that kind of starts in chain of events. And that's true. It's so true. Like you can have the roughest day, sleep like 2 hours. But if I see like, Sean and Hugo make it up in the 4 a.m., and outswim their seeds and J-Lo getting down or whatever, that gets me fired up, So that was like, we were very, very knowledgeable of what we were expected to do through those events.
Right. Interesting. I like that. I like that a lot. Wow. So many questions from this then. So, all right, let's get out to NCAA. So you're out there.
Yep.
That the Texas team is good. They've won, what is it, the last couple of years at least. They've won the last couple of championships. On paper, they're meant to win again. Yep. How do you guys at the meet, before the meet starts, how do you have the confidence to know that you guys can compete? Is there any signs? Is there anything telling you that, when we used to walk on the deck at Auburn, we walked on and we made our presence known. We were like, we're going to look the same. We had the same hair. We had the same uniforms. We walked in together. It was like this, we're going to let everyone know we're here type of deal. Is Cal adopted the same type of attitude for this meet?
Oh yeah. You're right on spot. It's especially because the Auburn days is March, right? And Dave learned that from Auburn, that we move as one, right? If one swims well, everyone swims well. And it's like there's this mix between trust, right? It's really important. Like I trust those 18 guys to swim as fast as they can and faster than they ever have before because I will. And that's the other way too, right? And like you said, I mean, we were very adamant about going into the pool as one group. And then also like, you have to enjoy the little things. Like it's really important to like, we were at the aquarium one day before the meet even started, Georgia Aquarium. We went to watch a movie the night before the relays and just like enjoying that moment too, because we know we're good swimmers and it's as a team that's like competing for a championship title, it's very, very hard to not focus on what the other team does. Like I was, we can be honest with that. Like I was more concerned with ups and downs from Texas than I was with mine and then even my team, That's just what it is. It's like you really want to win and that it's going to be really close. Like from the seeds, Cal and Texas literally always outperforms their seeds, but they both do, right? So it's like it's very, very, very rare that you win by a very, very big margin. So we knew that we had to step up every day, and it's like this like it's very, very stressful. I'll tell you that. How it is.
Yeah.
You watch everyone swim, but if you do the little things right, and you can enjoy the swims that are well, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you can get it done. But the biggest thing I wanted to say there is like you just have to like not worry about the things you can't control. I mean, if Texas or Florida has 2 up and 2 down there, good for them. Acknowledge it and move on.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. Just having faith in that process and just like moving through that meet like that.
For sure. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but I was on Marsh's first national championship team win in Auburn in '97.
Yeah.
I was a freshman that year myself. And so I know all about the ups and downs. I know all about competing against Texas.
Yeah.
We were the team that was competing against them too. So it was very much the same thing. On paper, Texas were the team to beat, So Eddie's been doing this for a number of years now.
Yeah.
He's put teams together. But Cal, you end up having a pretty good first day on the Wednesday, but Thursday morning doesn't go great for you guys. So how do you deal with that?
Remind me if I just don't know the days. What day would that be in terms of events?
That would be the
4 a.m.
The 4 a.m. The fifth. No, not the. Is it the 4 a.m.? So it's the Thursday is the 500 free, the 50 free. That's your day.
That's that.
And the
day.
2 a.m.
Gotcha. So it's the 3 event day, first individual day.
But Texas seemed to have a really good morning. They seemed to get numbers up. And not so much that you guys had a bad morning, but Texas had a really good morning. Yeah. But it just didn't seem to go their way at night. You had a much better night.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I mean, mornings it's where it's going. And I remember, let me see what I do remember. Our 5 wasn't very good. We didn't make it back in any of those.
Right, that's where Texas was strong.
Yeah. And that was like the first individual event. So at that point we were like, whew, like that wasn't good.
Yeah.
But we were very, very good in that 2 a.m. Like 3 up, 1 down, I think. Maybe 2 down. Alexa, stop. Sorry about that. Sorry, we had 2 a.m. That was very good for us. And then 53, I got up.
Yeah.
We didn't have anyone down. They had 2 up. They did have 2 up, yeah.
Yeah, they just had a strong morning. It wasn't like they blew you out of the water, but they just had a good morning. It's like, I was just but night you guys were much better. I think there was like a chance that they could get like 40 points on you, and they ended up only scoring about 22 points on you. So like you guys minimized the impact,
Yes, and I think that's mainly because we had a meeting before that final session, and we're usually very realistic, and we were like, well, we might be as much as like 50 down after this day, which is kind of important to like play around with, right? You don't want to finish that day and be like, why are we 50 down? You kind of want to like, okay, we didn't maybe show up as we should in the morning, but whatever. But the thing there was like, we swam really, really well. We outperformed our morning seeds, and I think they slightly underperformed, but not that much. It was more that they didn't really have divers that came back, I want to say, that day.
Right.
Yeah. And then the relays, we kind of stepped up there too, but we were 22 down, and after that, but we were supposed to be way more down, which is it's so hard to kind of enjoy that moment. It's more like warm down, sleep for tomorrow. Like that was it. Like no one really thought about that at all anymore, because it doesn't matter. I mean, we could have been 40 down. It would have been like, we would still would have the same attitude.
Right. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's more like acknowledge it, move on. Next day is important, right?
Right. Let me just touch on the 250s, because your 50 back was the fastest in history. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 20.08.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't get 19, man. What happened?
I don't know, man. I kind of just like didn't do it. No, but that
20.0 is ridiculous. It's crazy.
Thank you. That was crazy, because that relay, we didn't know what we were doing. Like, the day we swam it, we did, but we didn't know how that relay is going to look one day out. We had no idea, right? Because you can toss that relay up 4 ways and it'll be as fast, right? Yeah. Like, I was thinking about doing fly the day out, like 1 day out. And Dave was like, you're not doing fly. I was like, I should do fly, blah, 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 this and that. And we could have had good freestylers, and we'd have had D's on the backstroke, or I would have done freestyle, and we could have switched it up so many ways. Right. But we decided on that way, and it was so good. I mean, we were 20.0, then we were 22.7 with Liam. And then we were 20.1, I want to say, or 20.0 on the fly, and 18.6. And that was so crucial for us to kind of get going there. And for me individually, that 50 back was good. I mean, I got off the block well, off the ledge well, and just the way I swim it, I don't really overthink that 50. I kind of just do it. And I couldn't tell you why that went so fast, or why I didn't go 19, because I just don't know what I'm really doing. But I have good underwaters. I practiced coming up at 15. That was like the one thing I practiced. Yeah. And it's kind of weird, because when you're inside, you kind of swim the backstroke, and you move so fast in that 50 that when at the time you see the flags, because I'm so tall, the millisecond I see the flag, I have to turn, because at that point I'm already past the flag, and the time it takes for me to turn is quite long, because I'm tall. So I was like literally swimming, just looking for flags, turn, push. So that was the 2 things I was thinking about. The time was good.
Well, when you say we, I think that Dave gives you some input into the relay. Does he give you any input, or does he just kind of get your opinion and then he makes a decision?
Opinion, and he makes a decision.
Okay, so he does ask for opinions.
No, I kind of force him on him.
Okay, all right.
Doesn't necessarily ask me for opinions, but I usually am very like I observe a lot, and we weren't sure where everyone was, especially because of all those spots were so like interchangeable.
So did he go with your opinion, or he went with a different lineup?
Well, I said I would love to do the backstroke. That's what I
Okay.
said.
Okay.
Because I thought that if we can put us as a team out in the lead, even though I
Right.
could have probably been like, 18 low at the anchor, if I
Mm.
go 18 low as an anchor, I have to catch up, right? Instead of
Yeah.
me being backstroking first. And that worked out because Liam was so fast in that breaststroke because he had so much clear water. I mean, he's a great swimmer, but that helped a lot too, right? It's like clear water does it. So that was really, really good, I think. And I
But
don't
did
think
you
he should
think
have
you could be 20 flat, or are you thinking like 20.5, or what are you thinking that you can be?
No, I thought I was gonna be 20 point low. I think that's
Right.
reasonable because I remember I flipped 20.9 at PAX, and like I kind of just swam that. I kind of just like did it and flipped. I didn't really try hard. So I was like, if I would touch instead, and I would kind of push it like the underwaters too, I could probably be 20 low, right?
Okay.
So that's basically what I went off of. I wouldn't have done it if I thought it was gonna be like 20.5.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is you said you could swim it 4 different ways. How does the team deal with that? When Dave makes a decision like, all right, these are my 4 guys, these are the guys that are going to swim each swim. How do they deal with it emotionally? There's some guys left off this then. There's
Yeah.
probably some egos that are hurt a little bit of like, well, I want to be on that one. How do the team deal with it?
No, nothing like that. Like actually, it was insane how like people get a job assigned and that's it. Like no one gets pissed that they're supposed to be on that relay because they know that everyone on this Cal team is expected to support this team and their individuals and their relays. And if it's one relay here or there, it doesn't matter. Like if they would have asked me to be on the 4x2, I would have been like, sure, no problem,
But how does he
Or
build that? How does he build that in? Like, I mean, that doesn't happen on the day. That happens way before. How does Dave build that into the to what do you call it? The foundation of Cal of like, this is what you guys buy into,
because it means so much more to win the team title than it means to win anything else.
But you haven't won the
So
team
much.
title in a couple of years. So how's he convincing you that you're going to win the team title?
We're not, I don't know. We don't really like, we know what we're setting out to do, but in terms of like, what you're asking me is like the pride of being led off a relay,
Right.
that emotional damage, whatever you want to call it, doesn't exist because winning or getting third in that relay is not as important as the bigger picture, right? And everyone on that team knows that they're gonna have to contribute if you want to win. So it's not like, oh, I didn't like, it's not like Reese was like, I'm not on this relay, I'm pissed at Dave. No, it's like, okay, I get extra rest for my 2 IM tomorrow. Like, no.
But you got to understand that happens in other programs. You know that, right?
Sucks then for them because that would be hard. No, it's actually like I remember like Dees, right? Dees is a great example of this. Dees has been leading that relay with the backstroke for the last 3 years, right? And he was one of the big reasons they won in 2019 because he had that 100 back reswim and it was like phenomenal, right? And it was amazing because Dave, like, we didn't know how we were going to do that relay. And at the meeting the day before, Dave goes, Bjorn is doing the backstroke. And Dees is like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Like, we're going to show up. He's doing the freestyle. He was all confident. There was no like, oh, Bjorn, like, screw you. I wanted that spot. No, like, he was so happy for me, right? And he knew that I was going to do my job and I was expecting him to do his and I knew he was going to do his, right? So that's the level of trust where it's at. That's where it needs to be. It's like, I don't care if I could have been left off that relay, of course, probably wouldn't have had, but I wouldn't have been mad about it if that was Dave's decision.
Listen, that's the attitude we had in Auburn in '97 when we won. It's the attitude you have in Cal in 22. It's a winning attitude, and I think that's where people miss the boat here. Like, you may have a strong team, you may even have a stronger team than Cal, but the decisions that you guys are making, the decisions that other championship teams are making, it's team first over individual. And that's why you guys are successful. And that's what I've heard about you. I mean, Dave, I don't know if you listen to my little podcast with Dave and David on Sunday night. I got a chance to speak with them. And one of the things that Dave Durden said about you is you're 20% individually focused on what you need to do. And the other 80%, you're worried about what everybody else is doing and how they're doing. So you're more,
awesome.
You're way more team oriented than you are individual oriented.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's, it's very important. I mean, um, that's something I wasn't very good at last year, is more like, how can I score the most amount of points for myself and then for that team, of course. But it was like this year, it's more like, if I see something which might help that person swim faster,
Mhm.
like if I tell someone or tell him or whatever, that's a good thing that should be said, right? Like that's the idea.
How does that shift then? How does that shift mentally? Because that's a personal decision that you're making to take the personal choice of saying it's not about me, it's about the team. That's the bigger picture here. That's hard
Yeah.
to do.
Oh yeah, because losing sucks, man. Last year sucked.
Yeah.
I've never like I can just speak for myself, but we lost by like 20 points, dude, and it was like, this is really big. Like for a swimmer at college, this is it, right? There's nothing better than winning a team title. Like I can tell you, I did not care one bit if I was gonna win that 50 or 100 or not one bit. All I wanted to do was like beat out the other guys from Texas in that final. That was the one mission I had. I told Dave, I was like, I don't care if I'm winning this. Like tradition 53, this or that. If I can score like 17 or 15 points or 20, right? Good. Boom. That's where it's at,
Right.
And that was amazing, because that took pressure off of me too. It wasn't like, we need you to win. They didn't say that. They was like, I want you to beat out one of the Texas guys. I was like, I'll do that. Hell yeah. So that's and then coming back to that from last year, it's like, damn, dude, that feeling sucks when you get second in NCs by like 20 points, and like you had some miss-ups and this and that, and you really work hard. Like we worked so hard this season to like get people fast across the board, and that's where we same thing. It wasn't just NCs. Like we were running around on practice, and I was helping. It's a great idea. Great case of that is Jack Alexi, who made the team. It was 41-7 at PAX. He's a freshman, and Alexi came in. Great long course swimmer. He's 48.5. He's way faster than me, but he has trouble in short course because he's not very coordinated in his turns and start, because he's very strong, but he's not very coordinated. So I was like on him all year about doing these drills and doing that, and we got him a lot faster. And that's just not, it's not me, it's him, because he has to do the work. But if I see that would help him, I'm telling Dave, I'm telling Marsh, and I'm helping him, because those are points on the board for everyone else. And that's just how you have to do it. It's like, if you know something that would help someone, say it.
Right. Wow, this is a good podcast, man. This is interesting. You're super clued in. I like that. And you're only a sophomore, right?
I'm only a sophomore, yeah.
Wow, so you got a couple more years of this. I mean, a couple more years of leadership. This is scary for everybody else, because you've got it figured out already. So once you got it figured out, you're dialed in.
I feel like people should take notes.
I think they should take notes. I don't know if they will, but they should. I mean, you're saying exactly what it takes to win, and that's
you're right. It's also like the group of like Dave. What Dave does really well, and that's something that's really, really important, is when Dave recruits, he's looking for very, very specific people, right? It's like, you can't just, what we do here, you can't just take that and force it on another group. It doesn't work, because you have to have the right people that fill those spots and do their own little part, right? And that becomes one organism that moves forward and really like gets it done, right? So it's not like you can just take these things I say and just put them on people, but he's very, very methodical about what kind of people he wants to have on his team. And there's a lot of people that want to be on this team, but it's just like very competitive in terms of like how you move through swimming and how you view this culture.
Event, heat, lane, name of swimmer, times and places. It's called Swim Nerd Live, and it allows the data and times from your actual scoreboard to be broadcast and viewed in real time on any smart TV, phone, or other device. There are so many things you can do with this software. A very simple and easy to use necessity for any team or facility that is live streaming their meets results. One click on any device and they're watching your swim meet live in real time. Go to swimpractice.com to learn more. What was it about you then? I mean, you were this then generally, I would say, in the sense before Cal. So you must have had these attributes before Cal. Is this something, because you've embraced this wholeheartedly, like you're in this now, like you're like, I'm all in. So yeah. Was there something about you that was it's not very Scandinavian of you, is it?
No, I don't know. I think that I really like the idea of like when I was recruited and I really like the idea of going somewhere where there's people that are better than me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if there's any place, like it was like a rhetorical question almost. I was like, if there's any place I'm going, I'm a freestyler, right? Where can I go that has really good freestylers and pumps out good freestylers year after year?
Mm-hmm.
And long course especially, because I wanted to go to the Olympics. And that was like a no-brainer. I was like, Nathan's there. And then I went there and I talked to these guys, and I like swimming. So it's like I think about that a lot. And I was talking to them, like, barely met the guy, and I was like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And he was like telling me, right? So he really got into that and telling me these things. And that's how Caeleb is too, right? Same thing there. It's like I was amazed by the level of like knowledge that this place has.
Right.
In every stroke, like Josh Pernod was helping me out in my freestyle my freshman year. He was like telling me all these things. I was like, damn. So that was like the biggest thing. That was like the decision where I was like, this is the place to be, just because of just the experience. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Here's the tough question, because I had texted you this question. This is the 50 free question. So,
Yep.
So I'm obviously a 50 freestyler, so I see what I see. So what I saw in the final was a man who was forcing a 50 freestyle. Wanted to either win or wanted to beat somebody, or just got caught up in the moment of trying to swim fast. And then moments later, whatever it is, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you come back and you lay this 18.2 out. So you're 18.5 and you lose. Don't lose, but like you finish second, and it looks like a hard swim. And then I see you kind of 40 minutes later and you look beautiful. I mean, you look gorgeous. You're doing everything right. You're swimming free.
Thank you.
Do you notice the difference? And do you feel like you made a mistake in that 50 final of some sort?
Good question. So on your first part, where it's like that 50 final, I think that I was generally throughout this meet, if you look at my prelim swims and my final swims individually, my final swims are all slower. And biggest reason of this, first of all, was that the mornings, like I said, were more important. I really wanted to be up. Once you're up, it's like, you just kind of swim and you score points, whatever happens. So the small problem that I had was I kind of came into finals and I was like, I'll score points. It wasn't like I want to score 20 points. It was just like swim the race,
Right.
because it takes so much energy for me to do those morning swims. That's like in the night, I kind of came back and I was like, I just kind of want to do it. Just kind of want to get it over with and then recover for the next morning swim. It sounds kind of selfish and like, most people would like kill to be in a position where I am. But it was like, it's the second time I do this meet, and it's so draining in terms of like, it takes a lot of mental energy to go really fast all the time, especially the sprinters, because they do it all the time in relays. So the biggest problem I had there was like, I didn't have the right mindset. It was more like, get your hand on the wall, beat a Texas guy out, instead of like, I'm going to win this. That was the first problem. Okay. Second problem was that because I have gotten so much stronger since last year, I didn't warm up enough. Like that was the biggest thing. I would like usually I kind of try and be relaxed before my swim. So I would I get in maybe like an hour and a half before, and I just cruise. I literally just cruise long, slow, free. And this is for doing a 50, right? I cruise long, slow, free. I'll do 2 starts. And I'll do I'll get socks on, do like a kick out fast. That's it. And then before my race, I literally get my suit on. I just sit there and kind of like, keep warm, but I don't really warm up. And that's the biggest problem. So I did all my individual races. I was slower than the mornings. And that race itself warms me up enough to where I warm down, because I usually had an hour between the final race and the relays. That race will warm me up enough and take most of the pressure away, because I had already scored the points, to where it's like, the relay swims were kind of just like fun, because there's like you're kind of out there and you're supposed to score 20 or 17 and you end up doing it, then it's like, whew, good, because that's what Cal needs. We need the 20 or 17. And then the relays, we were like always underdogs. We were like 12th and like 10th and like, the second to last heat here and there. So those were all super fun, because it's like you're warmed up, you've had your first race of the night, you're not really as nervous anymore. You look up in the crowd, there's like 200 people. So it's like this combination of like being more relaxed, being an underdog, because in the individuals I was seated first, so I had this pressure on me. And the relays, I was like 10th. We were like, okay, we can just kind of send this, and whatever happens, we're probably going to outscore our seed, which is good. and then just kind of being relaxed. So, and I didn't like I don't change anything in those swims, but the 50, I was like 20.2. It felt like the 20, I'm sorry, it was I was 18.2. It felt like the 18.4 from that morning. So like the feeling of it wasn't very different. But there's less pressure on me, and there was like, I was more warmed up. So those are the two things.
Right. Gotcha. Makes sense. I appreciate you digging into that. Talk to me about this 18.2 swim then. So what do you do well to, give yourself some credit here. What are the things where it clicks for you? What happens?
I get off the block well. I was a little scared of.
Let me stop you for a second. I might even stop you each segment here. So when you're on the block and they say take your marks, what kind of state are you in at that point?
I call it the slingshot stage. So it's like, I can kind of spill the tea here. What I do is I go down on the block and I will grip the block itself like I was gonna like deadlift 200 pounds. And
so you don't grab the block. You're kind of like, are you caressing the block in some way, like just kind of holding on to it?
Yeah, I'm holding on to it. I kind of have my fingers up. I don't like clench my hand, but I kind of have my fingers on it. But like I have my hand underneath it, and that like the tension that creates with my straight arm, I kind of lean back. So on the take your marks, I very slowly lean back and kind of build that tension. And then I kind of just slingshot out of it. And that was not really working for me at the beginning of the meet. I was like very slow off the block. But in that 200 free relay, you can really see the difference from the individual or even the morning that I was like kind of firing off of it. And and this is something I give Caeleb credit to a lot, that he has his little YouTube thing where he kind of walks through his swims. And he does analysis, and he did an analysis of his 17.6. And I watched that like last year when it came out. And he said, in your start, which is the second part of your race, right? In your start, you always want to sacrifice length of your entry over entry, right? So you want to enter pretty rather than jump further.
Right.
And I took that with me last year, and you'll see it if you look at the video. I don't splash that much. Like I'm very, very thoughtful of like entering clean instead of jumping far. So
how do you enter clean? Talk to me about that. You're a big man. So are you being patient through the entry? Like you having to hold through the entry?
Yes. And I also keep my core engaged, right? It's kind of like you kind of go off the block and then you kind of flex up and you keep that tension. You know, a lot of people like kind of flop in the air and kind of like breathe in or whatever. And then kind of like they enter with their upper body, but they don't realize that their lower body is still not in. So they kind of just let that go and it flops the leg, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to splash from your knee down, which a lot of people do. Like at the highest level, you go to Olympics, right? And the only person you see that doesn't splash is Caeleb. He like just gets off that block, gets his arms over, kind of just like, kind of like
it's almost like
he
gets sucked into the pool. Yeah.
And that's not unobtainable. That's like what I was working for, you know, and it looks different for me because I'm taller and I'm not strong, but the idea is the same. Like I move my arms over, I kind of stay very, very long, clinch my head through, and just like really, really practice going in as one.
And then once you're in, are you patient here? You're not trying to initiate the dolphin kick straight away. Are you being patient through that line?
I'm very, very patient. And that's something that Hawke taught me, you know, from last year, that you're at your highest speed in the race when you jump from the block, and second highest when you push off the wall. So if you look at vectors, speed vectors, which we did when I was in Sweden a bunch, you'd like film from the side and put speed vectors. You'd see that everyone, Sarah Sjöström included, would ruin their speed from the wall with their first kick. It'd be like, you know, 5.5, it'd be like 5.5, 5.4, first kick 2.6, and then you would like do your second kick 2.9. So you would like ruin the speed and get up again. And I was very, very careful with that this year, that it's like the only person that can get away with that is Caeleb, because he kind of jumps in, he glides, and his first kick is massive. I just can't do it. I tried it. I jump in, I glide, which is important, but my first kick is tiny. So it's like whoosh, and then
how do you time the glide to the kick? Like what's going through your head there? Are you counting like a 1 Mississippi or something like that? Like what is it? Or 1 Sweden? No. What is it?
Just 1 Viking, 2 Vikings. It's just practice, man. Just practice a bunch.
So there is a holding pattern. There's a holding phase, and then you're like, okay, now's the time to initiate the first kick.
Yeah, you learn. I mean, it's like we do a bunch of start and glide, so you'll feel when you start losing speed, right? But the idea is there. It's like you want it to look really pretty.
Right.
And this is like the most important thing. It's like if you like I watch my swimming all the time, like in practice, and Marsh does this, and that the basic idea is if you look at Caeleb, it looks really pretty. He's very smooth with it, right? And it's the same idea in like weightlifting. When I learned to weightlift, which we do a bunch off of here, it was like if it looks like shit, it's not going to work. Like it literally isn't. If your stroke looks doo-doo, it's like not a good idea to swim because you're not going to swim very fast over time. So it's like people are trying to like do yardage, but they can't pull a straight stroke. Like no. So it's like really, really figuring out what's important. That was like the biggest thing going into this season for me. It's like making it smooth, making it pretty, catching water rather than just pulling through a fast stroke, right? Maintaining speed, keeping my head locked in when I come up from the kicks to the freestyle flutter, not slowing into a wall, but rather speeding up.
All right, hang on. Stop. I'm going to pull you back. Let's go back to the transition. So you're holding a glide. How many dolphins are you going into?
Let me just
for
think.
you personally.
Yeah. Let me think. I go 6 kicks.
So you go whack, 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 and then is it a fast transition? Do you flutter?
Yeah, my first stroke is finished at my last fly kick. Does that make sense?
So you kind of snap into the break.
Yeah, it's like I keep kicking while I snap my first stroke.
Is that a Caeleb thing?
It's a Caeleb thing.
Right,
if you look at him underwater, there's a bunch on YouTube. He does that, and
a lot of people have adopted that because of Caeleb, right?
Oh yeah, and yeah, it's really good. So it gets me up on top of the water, and then for me, it's really important to find my flutter before I find my stroke. So after that first pull is finished, I get the flutter on, and then I get my second stroke going. And then I don't necessarily count my strokes. So that's kind of an issue because yeah.
How do you lock in your body position in the 50?
I keep very tight core and I don't breathe. I mean, that's like the biggest thing.
Is it kind of like when you lock in your core? Sorry, when you lock in your core, is it kind of locking your hips in? Are you trying to lock your hips in?
Depends. In the 50 long course, I don't. I stay way more wide open. Because I try it in the 50 long course, I kind of reach above and kind of move like down and before I pull. But I keep very straight with my head, so I wouldn't move my head. It's more like I move my shoulder down a little bit. And my short course, I don't really have time for that, so I kind of like it's more of a the best way I can describe it is like you try and like it's like when you're digging dirt with a excavator, right? It's like this, like I move my arm above and kind of like pull my body past. I wouldn't say I try to stabilize my hips that much because it's only like 6 strokes before I turn. So it's more like it kind of just happens, right? I kind of lock in, keep tight, and then swim through it and kick through it. I don't really move my middle part that much.
Right.
I'd say that's the biggest part there.
Right. Well, I would say to you that's going to be your biggest leap forward long course. I think taking that short course mentality to your long course is going to get you from that 21.7 to that 21.1, 21.2. I think locking in some respects and holding that, and taking that excavator kind of feeling to your 50 long course will help eventually. But so then you get those 6 strokes in, you snap a fast turn, and then how many kicks out are you coming?
I don't count kicks out because those are very dependent on how I kind of move through that turn. I just kind of do those. I mean, what was really good about that, I was 8.6 to the feet, which is very, very fast.
Smoking there, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't come back as fast as I probably should have. And that was probably because of the kick count, because I just didn't count. I just kind of do it, which is not good. It wasn't the same kick intensity or size as the way out. But I was also like, I kind of close my eyes when I turn every time in freestyle because I don't like seeing people and where they are. It just ruins my race. And that's something I did really well there. So it's like I turn, my last stroke, I close my eyes. I totally do my turn blind. And first, when I'm on my stomach again, kicking, I will open my eyes. And that's kind of like, you don't know where you are, right? Because you're already like halfway through. So I kind of just kick there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I kind of just get up. I hope that I kind of hit the surface well. And then back is just like haul ass. Just haul ass.
Yeah, whole ass is a word, but I don't think it is necessarily just whole ass. You're not digging trenches. Like you're staying high and you're staying long. In that relay, I noticed you sat up really big. You
Yeah.
kept really big. Like your length was there. It seemed like to me in the relay you connected it better. That 18.2 was almost like it was going to happen because it was like a freedom of just flowing speed, but it was high. It was locked in. I don't know. Did you feel the difference?
I think I felt it slightly, and that's more like good point made there is like when you come up, it's like decided when you come up out of the water from the kick
Mm-hmm.
out, right? It's just like you kind of flop out, and then it's just like maintain that body position, right? So
Right.
that was really good. I kind of like kicked out and I kind of like did a big one before I came out, and I just kind of like was on top of the water and kind of just turned my arms. And that felt really good. I was like, I'm kind of floating here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you can swim and then decide to go up. It's more like you have to like do that from the kick out.
All right. But the length is important too, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
you're not just digging, you're not just like cutting short. Like
yeah,
you're getting in the point and you're pulling back to the point. Like you're finishing the stroke, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, for me, that's like I call that a digging stroke because it is as fast as I can go, like humanly.
Right.
I'm very thoughtful about not making a short stroke.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I did last year. I was really short in my strokes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still like move as fast as you can, kind of, because at this point, like I'm way stronger than last year, so I can kind of do that, but still keep my length, right?
Right.
Whereas in the 100, like when I swim the 100, I'm really, really thoughtful about just going as far as I can, like really, really thoughtful about that.
Right. Right. Well, how do you finish off the back end of your stroke? Are you coming out at your hip or are you trying to extend past your hip?
Um, I couldn't tell you honestly. I don't know. I think I'm probably like right between there. I like pull very far, but I'm also very stressed about getting my hand up moving again. So I don't
Right.
think I
Yeah.
pull like fully
Speed in
all
the
the way.
recovery is important, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's something, that's something I took away from the Olympics too. I watched David swim, David Popovici. That's
Mm-hmm.
insane. Like that guy's insane. Like that, he's very skinny, very tall, but he just goes up top and just
Mm-hmm.
pulls all the way down,
Mm-hmm.
like all the way. And that pull is amazing, So it's like it's not you can't I guess you can do it in yards, but it's such a different like idea of like, you kind of snap out of a kick and like, stay on top of the water and just swim. Whereas in long course, what he does is a way better idea in terms of like pulling through a stroke. So it's very different swimming. I
Right.
think
Right.
that matters.
Right. Vasa has been the go-to training tool outside of the pool for over 30 years. Vasa's products are ideal for developing power and proper technique in your swimmer's catch. Add a few Vasa trainers to your pool deck, and it's like adding an extra lane to your swimming pool. Go to vasatrainer.com, use code BREAD at checkout, and get 10% off anything from Vasa. Were you completely satisfied with your NCAA results? Like when you look back, you're like, I did everything I wanted to do, or did you feel like you missed the mark anywhere?
No, I think I did what I was supposed to do. Would I've liked to have been better in terms of like stepping up and getting those wins? Yes, I would have loved to win the 50 and 100. And I would have liked to be faster in 100 back final. But I was very, very happy with like how I moved through that part of the season and like getting faster from packs, right?
Yeah.
I'm like the race that I'm most proud of is actually my 100 free in the relay. I really like that one because that's also one where I was like, I finished 100 free, I get second, right? And same thing there. It's kind of a tight swim. Like I was out 19.3s, kind of forced, not really on top of the water. And then, we had pretty much won the meet after that. So we were like chilling. We were having a great time, warming down, being relaxed. And I got up for that relay and it just felt amazing. It's such a nice stroke. And I was kind of moving like that. That was the first time where I ever like felt I was really like just kind of just moving my speed through the water and just letting it go. Not slowing myself down, but also keeping breathing and staying long. Like that was so nice. I love that swim.
Yeah. Well, when did the Cal guys think they had it in the bag? Like when was it like you guys were high-fiving each other?
Very late. Probably right before two fly, because we knew that we had 2 up, 1 down, and 2 fly, and we were up by that point even before the 2 fly.
Prelims, you told me?
No, finals.
Really? Fine.
Oh,
so
we were.
Even after prelims, you didn't think you had it.
Oh, no. We were. This is the most important part. It's like once you relax, you just get passed. you'd pass so fast, right? So we came into finals and we were like, if they outperform their swim, like their seeds, and we swim badly, it's going to be dead even before the relay. That's what we knew, because it was dependent on their diver and their mile, because they had Luke and Johnston in the mile, right? And and they had one guy down in the early heats, and they had one diver. So we were kind of sitting there. We're like, if these milers get like, it was very, very like good for them. It would have been really good for them. We were saying if they get like, we said second, fourth, and like eighth, right? Very good for them, but still like doable, right? They're Texas milers, so they're gonna be really fast. If they get that, which we didn't have anyone score in the mile, and if they get their diver up, that's a lot of points. That would have equaled out our 2 fly. It would have, like, because they had better 100 freestylers, would have gotten some points back from the 2 back. So we were like, this is important. Like, we going into that final session, we're like, there's a very real chance we lose this meet. We have to fire every single race, right? And slowly but surely through that mile, through the 2 back, we're getting more and more confident, but still, like, it's like you just hate losing. So we were just like, we were very, very locked in. Like, I did my 100 free, went straight to the warm down pool. I was literally thinking, I might have to like swim a relay where it comes down to us beating them for the national championship.
Right. Yeah. I thought that at one point, but I mean, after the morning, I thought it was done. I was even texting Dave Durden of like, you guys have it. And he was like, he wouldn't concede at all. He was kind of like you, but well, tell me this then. I understand that you guys also do this thing where, at the end of meetings, it's like coaches leave. It's just team only. Like, what was the team vibe? Maybe on the morning of, and maybe in the night of Saturday, the afternoon in Saturday. Is there a similar vibe, or is it a different vibe?
Different, more relaxed, because we did our job in the morning, and we knew that at night, if you look at the historical swims of Texas during that meet, that we outperformed them at night. So we kind of went into that meeting. We're like, it's a little bit like job's not finished, let's get it done, But we were like confident in our ability at this point, to do it.
So what's the morning like then? The morning is a little bit more intense then, eh?
Horrible. Like
horrible?
everyone was locked in, but I was so nervous, like, in terms of that.
Really?
Oh yeah. Horrible is the wrong word. I'm sorry for using that. Like, the team meeting in the morning was like, day is a day, right? We have to fire in the morning. That was like the team meeting of it. But
Is
then,
this
like,
coming from the coaches or the athletes?
Both.
Yeah. Right.
So that's like the idea. We just we have to swim really well this morning, because last year, I remember we gained points on them, but not a lot. I mean, they had good divers and we didn't know where they were, and stuff like that. But it was basically just like, we have to get this done in the morning. And when I say horrible, it's just like, like, it's this gut feeling of like, ooh, this is it, like, we have to swim really well here, or we're gonna have an issue tonight. Like, we're gonna have a big issue. So, oh God, I can't even tell you. Like, I did the 100 free. I was very happy with my swim. I warmed down, but I couldn't watch the 2 fly the morning. I just couldn't watch it, because that was like the biggest by far. Like, the 100 breaststrokers did so well. I'm sorry, that's the wrong day even. But the last day was the 200 breaststrokers did really well. But the 2 fly was after everything, and we know that they didn't have any swimmers, maybe one, but we knew that we would have to get at least one up, one down. And I couldn't watch it, just couldn't do it. So I just run outside and kind of sit in the grass. I'm like, just praying. I'm like, let's
really?
have
You're outside when this is going on?
I was on the grass. I was literally next to the bus. I was like, I'm not watching this. I have trust in my guys, but I just can't do it.
Wow.
And they got it done, dude. I came back in.
They got it done.
Walk up to Matt. I was like, what's up? He's like, 2 up, 1 down. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, yes.
Are you getting 100 freestylers together? Are you like guys as a little unit, like a sub unit, where like we're doing this together? You warming up together or anything? Or are you, what are you saying to each other as a unit? Because you're obviously kind of taking that leadership role there.
Yeah, we're firing. I mean, usually we don't get like assigned leadership positions. It's not it. But I was making sure that the 100 freestylers were ready to go, right? And they did their best. I mean, both of them double tapered from packs, which is really hard to kind of figure out, especially because it's both for them, as like the first time they went to NCs even. So, and then at that point we were very confident in our team's ability. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like, I didn't go up to Jack Alexi and I was like, oh, you have to make the A. I just said,
Mm.
I just want you to swim, dude. Like, I want you to pull water. I want you to learn what it's like to be in the 100 free, and like, you're important to us now.
Right.
So he kind of did that, and he's swam well. I mean, it took at 41.9 didn't make it back. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, that's crazy.
It is crazy. Like, that got 5th last year or 6th even. Yeah, it's just crazy fast. But in terms of like per stroke, usually you have your little group and you're like, okay, how's everyone doing? What do you need? And that works well because it's like you're saying, it's a subdivision, right?
Right. Were you mentally for that 100 free? Were you like, I've got to be at my best in the morning, or were you like, I'm just going to hold back a bit so I got something more tonight because I know I got a couple of 100 frees tonight? Or are you like, I'm laying it out this morning?
I'm laying it out 100%.
Really?
Especially because like I said, losing last year sucked, and I remember Hugo last year, he didn't make it back in the 4 a.m. right? He was down, and this is middle day, and I remember him saying like, God, I thought I could do it, and I thought I could chill a little bit, just kind of get it done. And because I knew how fast this meet was, I was like I'm not like before I came in, right? My best time is from PAX, it's 41.5, and I was like, Dave, 41.5 is probably not making it back. Like it's very likely that 41.5 doesn't make it back into A, right? I'm sorry but I was like, going for A, but B, of course, gonna make it back. But I was like, 41.5 is not gonna make it back. I'm gonna have to PB. I'm going, And if that PB, I didn't know if that PB was like 41.2 or if it was like 40.7, which it was. But I sent it. I was like out, and it felt amazing. It was a great swim too. I was very happy with that. But that's like so important, right? You can't, even if you're like seated first. I mean, look at Destin, right? Destin's 2 back. Everyone thought he was gonna smash the 2-back record, and you show up to day 3 and you're just gassed. You're so tired. And I was like, Destin, we're gonna have to send this prelim. He's like, hell yeah, I'm gonna have to send this prelim. So we did, and that's the most important part. Like, it doesn't matter if I'd rather be first by like half a second and make the A than like get 9th, right? That's ideal.
Your body's hurting day 3. I mean, it's day 3.5 really, but your body's in pain, man. You're hurting. You wake up that morning, you're like, I'm so sore. Like, what am I gonna do? So what are you doing preparation wise to get yourself to the point where you can swim your best time on Saturday morning?
Same thing there. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, man. It's like I texted both Hoff and Nathan the night before. I was like, this is where I'm at. This is how I feel, what I do, and just get paragraphs and paragraphs of like answers, right? It's like, do this, don't do this. And a bunch of the stuff I knew already because we talked about it before, but it's just like the level of excellence and knowledge that these guys at home have, which we just use, right? We just get that. He asked me to like put a certain song on to fall asleep better and, slug water with this and that. So it's just like same thing there as the swimming. It's like we have people that know how this works and what to do. So I literally texted him. I was like, I'm sore here and this is really hard right now. And I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. What do I do? And it's just like straight up answers. Here's what you need. Let's get it,
Wow.
So
I gotta text Nathan tonight to get some sleep.
He knows what's up.
He's good, man. But how do you do that? Are you using any sleep aids like melatonin, or how are you getting yourself to get enough rest on that Friday night so you can wake up Saturday morning at least feeling refreshed?
It's hard. I mean, usually I have the mentality, like NCs, I have the mentality of like, it's great if you sleep. If you don't, doesn't matter. You can swim fast anyway, because people usually can. I mean, Friday to Saturday was the worst, like, because that was our most important morning, right? I was sleeping probably like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours maybe, and you're just laying in bed, and every second you're like, oh, like I should sleep right now, but you just can't. And I took melatonin, didn't do much because you're just so fired up. And I think to some degree it's like, I know I was able to swim fast, so I know I can swim fast off of a little sleep. But it's also good practice. I mean, I know that people that are at the Olympics don't sleep that much, so it's just, just get over it kind of.
Are you doing extra warm up? Are you getting an extra shakeout? Are you? I mean, is there anything extra at the pool that you're doing?
No, I usually do less at that point. I will do way less.
Right.
Just kind of like, I kind of roll down to breakfast, eat a little bit, not too much. I stay very calm. I swim very like that. That was the same thing there. I kind of like just had to save energy, and I sent 100 free, made it back. But then at that point, when you make it back, you're so tired from the morning that you didn't sleep at. So it's like really hard getting faster at night, right? So that's like something you learn. Like for next year, I really know how to kind of like tweak that a little bit.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, so I'm sorry, I'm just picking your brain here. I'm trying to get it all out. This is cool stuff. But I love how deep you're going with this. This is awesome, man. Because I mean, there's so much to learn here. But a lot of what you're saying is so familiar to me, man. Like I experienced this, like I said, kind of like almost 25 years ago now at Auburn. The same type of experience that you're feeling, and it's funny how comparable it is in terms of championship performance. I mean, it doesn't change much to win a championship. All the things that you're talking about were very similar things that we were doing 25 years ago.
Oh yeah, and
principles
you're right.
are the same.
Did you have March at that time?
Yeah, Marsh was the head coach. It was just very similar, and it's kind of why I picked you guys. And I told Marsh this, and I told people this publicly. When I was looking at you guys on paper, there was very little between Cal and Texas on paper. And realistically, if I was going to be, a realist, I'd probably pick Texas on paper. But the factor of Marsh coming in and his experience, and Dave and Durden and just being a brilliant coach and being a master of kind of getting you to exactly where you needed to be, and then having Marsh come in and kind of be a supplement to that. And having the team you had, I just felt like that was going to get you guys over the line. And that really proved true. And it's not a negative on Texas. It was just that the double combination of those two guys and their experience and the team you had, to me, it was like, they're going to get it done Saturday morning. And everything you're talking about tells me that, everything I thought was going to come true did come true. Was there a point in Texas? Because I've looked at the Texas bench personally myself, as a swimmer and as a coach. We won in 2009, and it came down to the last day. And I looked across the Texas bench, and again, it's nothing against them, but when you look at them, you can see defeat in a certain, after the 200 back in 2009, I knew it was over. I was like, we got these guys. They all just deflated. So was there a point ever for you in the meet where you looked across at the Texas bench and were like, we've got them mentally?
I don't know. I wouldn't say specifically, just because it was, it sounds weird, but it was very important for me to not focus on Texas, right? Right. Like, it just doesn't matter, right? Because whatever they do, they're good swimmers, right?
Right.
What I'd say there is like, I think to some degree it's, if you come in and they do so well every year at midseason, it's insane, right? We went to Minnesota and they just crushed us, like props, right? They crushed us. We barely got our relays up, we swam like this and that, and we had text all around like, hey, be careful so you don't get third this year at NCs. We're like, it's like we didn't swim well, and it's just like kind of like, it's so weird because that puts Texas in a position every year where it's like they're expected to win. Right. They're seeded to win. They're expected to win. Right. And that's like we never get that. Like, very rarely does Cal come in and they're like, okay, Cal's gonna win. Like, very rarely. It's always underdog, right? And that does something, because when you sit there and you're supposed to win and you don't, that pisses you off. And at that point, you get like, you kind of sit there like, fuck, this sucks, Right. But it's like, I don't like the term where it's like, we wanted it more. It's bullshit, right? They wanted it as much as we did.
Sure,
So that doesn't count, I think. But it is a mental game. Like, it's very, very tough. It's a very tough meet, and what it's like. It's so like stressful all the time, and the stress of just like, in their position, day 3, right? We swim really well. We show up for the morning. They know they have a chance, but it's slim, That's so stressful, because that's what we had last year. I know that feeling exactly. It's like, you can get it done at night. They would have to underperform. We'd have to overperform.
Right.
But we're probably going to lose. That feeling just sucks. And it's just like, you have to get over that feeling and then outperform your seed from the morning. That's not easy. So it's all about these swings and like mentality, and like, you have to show up when it matters, and they did. They outperformed their seed by like way more than we thought, and we outperformed our seed way more than like we thought.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I wouldn't say that they did anything way worse. It's just like, it's been like this for 10 years, and it swings in one direction, swings in the other direction. And
right.
But what was really cool too is like, teams are moving up. It's like NC State, Florida. They know what they're doing. They're coming for us. They're like, people are tired of 1 and 2 Texas and Cal. Like, it's going to be really interesting next year. I can tell you that. That'd be cool.
Destro Swim Towers. Gain strength in the water with a tower of power. Save $150 per double swim tower by using code BRETT, B-R-E-T-T, at checkout. DestroMachines.com. It was super deep, and Florida were winning events, and it was just like there was stuff going on. ASU, was there anybody individually that you got a chance to look at and were like, holy shit? Leon, Marchand, anyone like that? Was there anyone that you were like, damn?
I was joking with Leon at PAX. I was like, are you on the French diet? And it's like, it's croissants, black coffee, and cigarettes for breakfast. But he said he wasn't. So I was like, shit, she's actually going to swim fast then. So, he's crazy kid. Super, super, super dope and super nice. And he's just a natural swimmer. You look at him swim. That's a guy where I can't really there's not a lot for me to learn because I just don't do what he does. Mm-hmm. And it's a very different body type or whatever not. But I just love watching him swim, dude. Underwater, it's like 4 a.m. last wall, 14 meters. Are you kidding me? It's like so cool. And he's gonna be up there in 2 years and swim. And Bob knows what he's doing with him. So we love that. And especially that was even cooler. This year, PAX was so fast. We showed up and we were not ready. I can tell you that. Day one came around. We're running these 2 relays because last year we crushed it. Right, no one was there. ASU didn't even swim. But we show up. We get third in both relays the first day. 2 medley relay and then the 8 free relay. I'm sorry. We were just flustered. We were like, what are these teams? What is happening? Everyone's so fast. And that was so cool because, we love a conference where it's tight. And nationals too. It's so much more exciting when it's people that are it's ups and downs and this matters really closely because it's just more exciting for everyone. Props to Texas. They showed up. That's cool,
Yeah. Yeah. I actually just took a photo of you while you were talking, and I sent it to Leon because he was going to do a podcast with me today. He said he got busy, but we are going to do one. But I told him we were talking about him, so I'm sure he'll be happy.
That's awesome.
He can swim, but that's cool. Well, listen, I've kept you a while, man. This has been really interesting. Super cool. Now that you have one, you've done this thing. How do you then? You know what? I'm going to back off from that. I'm going to go to long course. How do you transfer what you've done short course to long course now? How do you get that giant leap forward? Are you doing anything specific for your long course that's going to help you make that leap in any particular event? Are you looking at an event long course wise that you want to be really good at?
Yes, I want to be good in 100 free. That'd be nice.
100 free. Okay, so you're 48. What now?
48.9.
48.9. Yeah, that's nothing compared to what you can do. So reality wise, where do you think you can be? Where do you make the improvements or jumps forward in that?
Well, I think what's important is the way I kind of look at my long course swimming is it's I kind of send those, but smoothly. So what I did last year when I was 48.9, when I PB'd, I was 22.7. Actually, I was 22.9 to the feet, which is very fast for someone who goes 48.9.
Yeah, really fast. Yeah, you should be 48 low off that.
Exactly. So the problem with me is I'm really good out front. I have easy speed, and it kind of looks like easy speed, but I kind of get tired anyway. If that makes sense a little bit. So what I want to figure out this season is being more confident in those splits. I don't, when I went 48, I didn't come home under 26. That's a joke, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
Exactly. So it's figuring out how to be back, 24 low. You have to be if you want to go 47.5. That's important,
So for me, what I would do for you is I would put you under stress, and then I would get you to swim back end swim. So you want, you do some back end 50s, but you want to be under stress before you get to the back end. So it's okay, I'm gonna get you some top end speed, maybe a 25 or a 35 top end, swim to the wall easy, give you 10, 15 seconds rest, and then hit the back end, or maybe even swim into the wall and out of the wall and try and get that back end speed. But you've got to be under stress, hitting the time that you want to come back in practice. So you've got to be 24 mids to kind of 24, 6, 7, 8. You want to be in that range. But if you're 25.5 on a regular basis in practice, you're just not going fast enough. You got to get down to those 24 lows, 24 mids under stress.
That's true, and that's, I mean, the thing is, there's this joint between that, because I'm able to do it, right? Like this year we barely done long course. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've done long course, but we really wanted that win. So sorry, in the fall we did, but in the spring we kind of focused on short course. But last year for the Olympics, we were like all long course, right? And we're doing like 650s best average back in speed, and I was like, probably going 24 6s 7s average. They're on like 2 minutes. Suited from a push, so it's like decent, right? It's not insane, it's not terrible. And I remember those are really good for me, but there seems to be this joint between me doing those and then like actually coming back 24 or 25 even.
Right.
But yeah, so I think I need to go to meets and just practice that. But also, like, I don't know, I'm not that stressed. People just like, oh, he's having a great short course season, and so he's going to go 47 and 21. I appreciate that hype, it's cool and all, but I want to be those times in 2 years, and I will probably, it's like I'm working towards it, but one thing at a time, kind of. So it's like I texted Dave yesterday. I was like, Dave, I'm not going to San Antonio. I just want to, like, kind of just celebrate and have a good time. We just won. And he's like, no problem, just do that,
Right.
So yeah, it's like, moving through that, but I think just really figuring out how to swim that race before actually going 47 would be a good idea.
Right. Do you have to do any trials to qualify for like a Worlds or Europeans?
No, I get nominated from my Olympic stuff, and probably from yards times too, which is really nice.
Oh, that's cool. So you're pretty much automatically selected for both those meets?
Yeah, should be fine.
Okay, now it's just a matter of deciding which one you want to go to then, I guess.
Correct.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, listen, appreciate this, man. The analysis has been amazing. Have we missed anything?
No, dude, it's a crazy fast meet, and I love talking to you about this stuff, but it's just interesting. Like NCAAs is so good for swimmers, right? Like the concept, and just like teaches people how to swim fast, and 140.9 doesn't make it back in the A. 2 IM, 141.9 doesn't make it back in the free. It was just cool to see. Like, we were happy to be there too. Like, it was so cool.
Yeah.
So
and you're going to finish up like a couple of months before the Olympics, I guess, aren't you?
Yeah, that's I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's right around where it would be. Let's see, 2024. Yeah, and school finishes in May, so when you have the Olympics, and I guess it's probably July. So
July, yeah. So you'd have NCAAs, you'd finish school, you'd have a few months to kind of get ready for the Olympics. So it's kind of like 24 is like a big year for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I like the fact that you're being patient, but you're also understanding that now's the time where you could make those leaps forward. I think you're definitely there. Like the 21 low. I saw it when I was watching your 50 yards. I was like, this guy can go 21 low. Like, I've seen that many times. You've got that speed. You got the start down. You got the breakouts. You got that body position that you need. You got everything you need. It's just going to take time to kind of practice it and get through it. But you're there, man. So, like, look,
thank you.
You're one of the best sprinters in the world now. I think people should fear you in the sense that you're big, you're long, you're experienced, you're well coached. There's this factor of you're going to be there. So people need to remember your name. It's coming, man. And I hope you kind of embrace that, because you're one of the best sprinters in the world, man. I've got a lot of respect for you. You're doing really good things, and I'm excited about your long course. I really want to see you transfer it at some point, whether that be this season or next season. I want to see that kind of click for you, because you've got all the potential in the world, man. So good luck with everything. All right.
Thank you, dude. Awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate you doing this. Thanks a lot. All right.
I got you. Have a good night, Brett.
All right. See you, Bjorn. Take care.